You can go into any Victoria's Secret and find dozens of fragrances in sexy, frilly bottles like Bombshell, very sexy, and Tease. Victoria's Secret was not always the sexy angel vixen that it is now, and that extends to their fragrances. Let's talk about the history of Victoria's Secret perfume. The company was started in 1977 by this guy, Roy Raymond, who wanted a store where men would feel comfortable shopping for lingerie, which frankly tells you everything you need to know about the company's trajectory. The name Victoria's Secret was a reference to Queen Victoria, and the secret is what's going on in a lady's undergarments. Back then, as you can see from these old catalogs, they were leaning into that 1800s English aesthetic. Can you imagine? After being sold to Les Wexner, who owned The Limited at the time and has since been outed for his ties to Jeffrey Epstein, yikes, the company grew at a meteoric pace. They started to actually market more towards women, but kept the tasteful, classy, ladylike English aesthetic, and even went so far as to use a fake London address, which I think is hilarious. Around 1988, the first fragrance was launched, and it was simply called Victoria. The design, as you can see, is supposed to evoke that English sensibility. In fact, Victoria's Secret leans so hard into the English aesthetic that their TV ads featured a woman with a British accent, and their first line of bath products for both men and women were an English collection. And we're talking so English that none other than Penhaligon's, like of British royal family fame, sued Victoria's Secret in 1989 because they felt that the design was too similar to their bottles. I mean, yeah, I think they had a case. Back to Victoria though, this first fragrance was a traditional rosy floral with some amber and woods. It was discontinued in the 90s, but brought back and reformulated in 2013. And if you want to go further into the dark side of Victoria's Secret, there was a documentary that came out recently called Victoria's Secret, Angels and Demons. Highly recommend. It's very uncomfortable, particularly if you're a millennial woman who grew up in the early 2000s like me. But what Victoria's Secret fragrance should I do next? Let me know in the comments and find the rest of my perfume histories at the playlist below.